Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, bass players around the world, bass players from Detroit, New York, Georgia, and all the suburbs around here, and keyboard players and guitar players.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
Yeah, all of that kind of. Welcome to the basement. That's BASSMINT. And that was a nice job you did there, man. Tell us your name, brother.
My name is Skip Simons.
Welcome to the basement, Skip.
Thank you, sir.
I also like to welcome all the other people that's here hanging out in the basement. Always glad that they show up and hang out. I'm going to start introducing them on my left. First person we got here, tell us your name, sir.
Buckaroo Holmes.
Buckaroo Holmes. Welcome back to the basement, brother.
Of course.
Also hanging out with us in the basement, taking videos, sneaking videos and stuff. Tell us your name.
Tim Blackman.
Tim Blackman, another Detroit bass player. What hood are you from, really?
I'm actually from Cleveland. I moved up here and stayed up here for the music.
Wow, you know, I used to live in Cleveland for 11 years. I taught music out there in Richmond Heights is where I used to live.
Okay, not too far from where I was.
Now I'm starting to think he's a stalker now, because where you live now?
I'm in Westland.
That's where I live. No, I'm just messing with you. But that's funny though, you know.
He'll be following tomorrow.
Hey, he sings like a bass player. That's how we do.
Hope your picture be on milk cart.
on my left, my right, we got in a Golden State Warriors, GSW, which really stands for Gunshot Wound.
Oh!
What's your name?
My name is Reginald Canty.
The owner of the basement, man. Thank you for letting us hang out here in the basement and do all of these wonderful interviews, folks. Y'all should see them. Y'all should go to the page and actually, you know how people be binging on Netflix?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go to Detroit Bass Players in the Basement on YouTube and get your binge on. You're going to have some hilarity, some fun. You're going to learn some stuff, really.
Yes.
Next to him is a keyboard player. Tell us your name.
Dean Strong.
His left hand, though, does a little bass, but we also did an interview with him. So check that out. Very educational for those who really want to know about music, you know, deeper and deeper about composition and all that good stuff. Next to him, tell us your name.
Eric William Markley.
Eric William Markley, another Detroit bass player, Detroit guitar player, Detroit keyboard player. What other instruments do you play?
The woodwinds and the brass. I picked up on some saxophone, some trumpets, some.
Just gotta play everything.
Yeah, in college I was considering going into teaching, so as part of that curriculum you have to take up at least one instrument from all of the groups.
Right, okay.
I've loved drums as well, so I mean, you know.
Forgot to mention that. That is an instrument too. And next to him, tell us your name.
How you doing? Michael Wolf, new guitar player and past trumpet player.
Okay, I play trumpet too. I'm thinking if we had one more interview after this, we learn just a little bit more about you. Because every interview I do, I'm learning more and more about you. And next to him, tell us your name. Gabby. And she was just playing the guitar. She plays the piano. And maybe one day you're gonna, maybe one day you'll be able to play the bass too. You think? Okay, good. We'll be looking forward to that.
Yes,
And next to her, Michael, who?
Michael Wolf, Wolfie.
And we call you Wolfie, the inventor of the Wolf Bone.
Right.
Y'all got to check that out. And next to Wolfie is, tell us your name, Rod.
Gaston.
Rod Gaston. Man, I really like that bass, man. That's a 5-string bass mod.
Yes, sir.
Beauty.
And it's got that wideness between the strings, man. So you can still get your thump on.
Yeah.
But you can still get your thump on, you know what I'm saying, without having to readapt your fingers, man, like you have to on some other 5 strings. So, sorry about that, Skip. You know, I got to acknowledge the people who come because I really thank everybody for coming. In fact, I got to acknowledge myself for coming.
There you go.
A lot of times I forget to mention my name for those.
That's Big Ive right there,
Right,
guys.
and some people think I talk too much when I do these interviews, so I'm gonna say as less as possible, and we're gonna get this thing done, man. So the first question I'd like to ask you is, when did you start playing the bass, and why?
Very first day I picked up a bass guitar was also the very first day I picked up tuba. I transferred from junior high to high school as a trombonist. And I'd also been playing guitar since, I was like 10 years old. I was getting lessons from my cousin. He'd come over 7 o'clock every Saturday morning and give me a 2-hour lesson. But after a while, I was craving more. So I brought my guitar to jazz band for that very first day of jazz band class. And there were 2 other guys that had brought their guitars too. Well, there was 3 guitar players and no bassist. And because I already knew how to read bass clef, I was basically pointed at and said, no, you play bass. And I'm like, but I don't have a bass. And they're like, well, we got one for you. So they go out and they blow all the dust off, open the case, and there is this beautiful old 1971 Battleship Gray Fender P bass. Wow. I'd say that thing weighed 12 pounds. And it had these old flat wound strings on it. I think were the original ones that came on the bass. I don't think they ever changed them. So the very first thing I did was, I was a big Steve Harris from Iron Maiden fan at the time. So I went and I got myself a set of Roto sounds on it and started, took that home, figured out where the notes were in conjunction to the bass and as opposed to on trombone. Figured out where the notes were, and then from there I just went on and I started, like, as I said, I mentioned Steve Harris as an early influence because I was a big metalhead at that time, and I grew up listening to Iron Maiden, and the fact of the way his bass lines actually drove the song. He wasn't just, a guy covering, playing behind the guitar player, playing the same notes. This guy was half the percussion section. This guy was running licks that were just not heard of in rock and roll at the time, with maybe the exception of John Entwistle and John Paul Jones.
You currently, right now, that song you did for your intro, is that something that you do with your current band?
No,
is it a
honestly,
solo piece?
that was just something I've been playing around with for like the last couple of weeks. I've been messing around with it, just before our band rehearses or in my bedroom. I keep a bass in there at all times in case I wake up and, hey, I woke up and found a bass line. I'll grab my bass and start playing it immediately.
Okay, so you play with a group currently.
Yep, Chosen by Fate.
Called Chosen by Fate. Here's your guitar player, even though he went to school for bass, upright bass, he's well educated.
He's the one who got me
musically.
playing bass again.
He's educated musically. Chosen by Fate, he's the one that got you back playing again?
Yes, he was. I came up here from Detroit after a really bad marriage went south. started going through the divorce proceedings. I moved up here to Detroit from Jackson, and Eric was one of the first people I met. I'd started working for a promotions company, and his band was one of the first ones we were going to sign. So I was like, I met him and I met his cousin, and they had a band together. And he was playing guitar. He'd gotten off the bass and was playing guitar, and so he's like, the only thing we need is a bass player. And I'm like, well, I played bass as a kid, because during my marriage years, my ex made me pretty much sell every piece of equipment I ever had. So the only thing I could do in bands was sing, which I did do I did that for almost 20 years.
Well, it's life, as we spoke. Sometimes life gets in the way of our musical path, but I guess it's meant to be. So.
And it did it for me for 20 years, but then when I moved up here, I met a girl who basically said, your music is your passion, live it.
Okay.
And that's all I could have ever asked. I mean, hell, she bought me this bass.
Wow.
My first bass when I moved up here, I was playing on all his basses, but she went out and bought me this Lakeland. And from there, I've just been going, and Eric's been kind enough to give me a job as his bassist.
Well, that is awesome. Now, speaking of bass, you say she brought you this one. Well, what is this?
Oh, this is a heavily modified 2005 Lakeland 4401. This is back when they still made the Skyline series in Korea and not Indonesia. And there's also, back in those days, each one of these would come back to the Chicago plant, be inspected before they went out the door.
What's heavily modified?
The modification on this is all in the pickups. They originally, these things came with what were they? Bartolini's. They came with Bartolini MK1s. I didn't care for the sound of them, but when this came, I didn't get it with this. The original owner who had this before me took the active Bartolini's out. You can see where the hole still is here in back, where they used to have the battery compartment, and he replaced them with some Seymour Duncan jazz bass line pickups at passive. And I'll tell you what, I don't understand, after hearing these on it, why this was ever an active bass in the first place. I mean, it just has, this thing it's got tone for days, and they put this pick guard on it, which I think might have come from a Music Man. It might have came from a Stingray or something.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that.
Kind of looks like it did, but I found this sitting at Huber and Breeze.
And you like it still?
Oh, yeah, it's still my number one. Now,
how many do you have?
I 3 of my own. I have this one, the Paul Reed Smith Kingfisher, and then last year I was able to trade Eric up. He wanted this brand new G System pedal board, and he didn't have the cash for it, so he was like, well, if you buy me this, I'll trade you my 91 Stingray 5.
So wanted to ask you about some of your favorite bass players. Now, me and you've been sitting in here for 3 hours listening to other bass players and tell the same usual suspects of their favorite bassists. So I've been dying to hear yours, because I've been waiting to interview you for a couple months now. So I gotta hear who's some of your favorites, man, because I like how you play.
The first bass line I fell in love with ever was it was the bass solo in Frank Zappa's Apostrophe, and it was Jack Bruce that laid that bass solo down, and all it was a distorted bass. He had the fuzz pedal on with his old Gibson. Gibson was an EBO bass, the SG looking one. And that guy went through there, and just this little 2-chord jam that was Frank Zappa's Apostrophe, he just ripped it. And I was like, what instrument is that? I need to know what instrument that is. And ever since then, I never realized until I got playing later on, and I actually picked up a bass and started using it, that song and that thing influenced me so much.
Okay.
And others, I guess, would be Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, Ryan Martini. He's a newer guy. He's plays in a metal band called Mudvayne. However, he's not your typical pick player or just straight up finger player. This guy incorporates finger style and hardcore slap into his playing. And
We have to
watch
check him
the
out.
guy, it's unbelievable. If you ever get a chance, there's one video that they did. It was the very first video they released from Mudvayne. It was called Dig, and half the video shows the bass player going off. So if you ever check that out,
What's his name again?
Ryan Martini, Martini. That
Anybody
guy
else?
is phenomenal. And then,
No.
of course, we were talking earlier, Billy Sheehan is another one of my heroes.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I like your group Chosen by Fate. I've heard some of the stuff, seen some mobile phone footage and all of that kind of stuff. And I've been doing that for months now, ever since I met you guys. Now, what kind of music does Chosen by Fate, the band, play?
We try not to like pigeonhole ourselves into one category. I would say overall, we would call it's rock, but with so many subgenres, metal, funk rock, psychedelic. We're very much into the old Pink Floyd and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. In fact, one of the covers our band does is Hoedown. Is Emerson, Lake and Palmer's version of Hoedown.
So are you all cover or covers the original?
No, right now we're at about 50-50 on our live set, and we're working on bringing out, pushing away the covers for more original music.
Any CDs out there?
We have one right now that was with our old singer. That was just the 4-song demo with our old singer, but we parted ways with him last year. You know, he had 2 bands going on at the same time, and you know, it was becoming an issue. So we tried out the 3-piece thing with Eric and I switching off on vocals.
How's that working out for you?
It's working out pretty good. I mean, it was just us finding our place as vocally, finding out where we fit in, where our voices fit in, how certain parts of our voices might not sound right like this, but if we just change it a little bit, it sounds good. You know, it was just, you know, but you know, I had vocal experience. Eric's a multi-instrumentalist, so I mean, there's no doubt that he can sing. So it was just a matter of, you know, finding material that makes us sound good.
Are you looking for a replacement vocalist? Just a
Not at
solo
the
dude?
moment, but if we were to add another musician into the band, it'd have to be another multi-instrumentalist, I think. It's like a utility player, somebody that could do keyboards, guitar, bass, you know, basically somebody that while they're singing isn't going to just be standing there with a microphone in his hand.
Dig, but look, man, I ain't want to keep you because I know you like things like Rush. I see that on your shirt. I know you got other things to do and everything. But I did want to know if anybody had any questions they might like to ask you, man. Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to add though that I've seen the 3-piece band and I thought it was very good.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
She had a question.
You got a
I
question?
liked it so much.
You hear that? She liked it so much. Now, what did you say?
Yeah, I also saw the 3-piece band on the YouTube. Very good.
Oh, thank you.
I loved it. Yeah.
Was that video that was kind of far away looking?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's for
very
Silence
good.
After Dark. That was a pretty good
Very
show.
good.
Well, that brings us right to anybody else have any questions? You got another question? Okay, that brings us right to what we're talking about here. We're talking about Chosen by Fate. We're talking about Skip Simons. So if I wanted to hang out with you, or if I wanted to hang out with and come and listen to you guys, how would I do that? You got social
We've got a big
media?
online presence, yes. ChosenByFate1.com. We also have a Chosen by Fate Facebook page, Reverb Nation. Do we have Bandcamp too?
Not yet. Or yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think we got
It's
a band.
linked to the Facebook page.
But it's linked to the Facebook page. But yeah. But yeah, pretty much we're out there for all of them. But to get a hold of me personally, your best bet is my email or Facebook, Skip Simon, facebook.com/Skip Simons.
Skip Simons.
Or my email is skip from MI, Skip from Michigan, SKIPFROMMI @gmail.com.
Okay, and what does the future hold for Skip musically? What do you think, brother?
Well, right now it's just a matter of getting this band as many gigs as we can, and we're and long-term future, we're in the middle of writing a very, very serious album right now.
That's good. I hope I get to hear it when you guys
Has a
complete
very
it.
strong concept.
I don't care how long it takes. We have a question over here from the sports section.
I was thinking I saw you on Fox 2 News.
How long ago?
Oh no, it's been
About 5-6 years.
I think so.
Yes.
There was a benefit for a young girl who died. She had
I think I remember that.
Kathleen. That the neighbors were harassing her, and it was all up on the news and
Yep.
everything. Our band was the band that played the
I do
benefit
remember.
for them.
I do remember
Yeah.
that.
That was a awesome story. I had no idea, man. But look, I ain't want to keep you, man. So is there anything that you would like to say in closing?
Well, check out our band Chosen by Fate. Check out Detroit Bass Players. Check out more of these videos. If you're a young and upcoming bass player, watch these. Go to some of our pages. Check it out. There's a lot out there to be learned. I've been playing for over 30 years and I'm still learning every single day. Do not stop learning. Once you think you've learned it all, you might as well just throw your stuff away.
Okay, with that said, why don't you play us something out, man?
All right. Well, this thing I'm gonna play. I'll just give you
Keep it short.
one line of an instrumental that Chosen by Fate does. This was the one I literally wrote in my sleep. I woke up and was like, "Oh my God, I gotta commit this to memory." But I'll just go ahead and give you the first run through. This is entitled "Endless Levitation Paradigm."
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Skip Simons. All right. All right.